Well, in our kind of wandering around the internet, I end up in two or three different sites, usually a lot. But one site I continuously go back to seems to be Coast to Coast. I've been a big fan of it for years. I started listening to it when Art Bell hosted it. I kept going with George Norrie, but then I started working overnight shifts and I just kind of fell out of it. But I still like to go back to the site, still like to keep up with it. And now that I live in Canada, it's even harder to hear. But I was reading on one of their articles, and it had I guess it's a top 10 list of the most amazing video clips from 2015. And needless to say, I've also, as I've stated, we watch a lot of YouTube videos, especially me. I watch them all the time. So I thought we might take a little bit of a closer look into some of these. Now, the number one video on their list, or I don't think it's actually in any order, but this just happens to be the first video on their list, is the mysterious floating city that appears over China. This is a video, I even shared it on my original group, the Paranormal Night Stalker. It was all over. I put it on Facebook. I put it on the WTFT Facebook page and Twitter page. It was something that actually, when it came out, I thought was kind of neat looking. But you've looked over the video. What do you think of?
A little bit of background first. I'm not really a skeptic on anything, because I know that there are things that happen that really aren't explainable. I mean, I've seen things, I've heard things, I've experienced things that would have to be called paranormal, which only means beyond normal or above normal. So, I mean, I don't discount anything offhandedly, but also I'm an amateur photographer. I don't get paid to be a photographer, but I do shoot a lot of pictures, and I used to shoot digital, and now I shoot film, but I still know how it works. And whenever I see a video now, I'm really very skeptical, because I know that anything can be doctored in Photoshop. You could take someone that knows how to do Photoshop, and Photoshop is an art form in itself, using the program. The program is huge. I mean, there are buttons that have buttons that do things that I don't even know about. I mean, I don't use it myself, but I've looked at it. I mean, I've had it and I've played with it, even though I didn't really know what I was doing. But for someone that knows how to use Photoshop, you can create anything. I mean, the only way that I would believe that there was a city floating in the sky would be if I was standing somewhere and actually saw it floating in the sky. And then you'd have to think it could be a holographic projection. I mean, it's just, to me, it's an interesting piece of work, but I don't believe it.
Yeah, I've got to kind of lean to that side myself, not to call anyone into question or anything as blatantly saying it's fake, but I'm going to put a link into a channel that I'm a huge fan of. I mean, this channel doesn't even know we exist. It's not like we're a partner or we know anything. This is just somebody that I've watched for the past year or so, and it's a channel called Beyond Science. He did a really great video on this. It's like I said, he's one of the best YouTubers I've ever seen out there that does this kind of stuff. And I think he broke it down best, to me at least, when he said, "This is China. It's a really tech-savvy city. Are you really telling me there's only one person with one camera phone that happened to see this and take a picture?" And there should have been hundreds of videos and pictures of this coming out. There weren't. There's one. It's an amazing video to see, but when you think about it in that form, you kind of start to think that there's something a little more computer to it. Because just, it's like I said, think about this happening in Los Angeles. Everybody and their grandmother has a smartphone with a video camera on it. How many people would have grabbed their phones and started recording or started snapping pictures? That's just it, pure and simple.
Well, that's like, one of my favorite channels is called DigiRev. It's a photography channel on YouTube. And again, we're not a partner or a friend. I don't know the guy. I think he lives in China, and I've never been there. But that's where he shoots at. He's a street photographer, and I'm a street photographer. We shoot people. We shoot streets. We shoot natural, real life just happening is what our medium is. He shoots digital, of course, but when he's shooting, I mean, they're showing the crowds on the street in China. I mean, the amount of people that carry cameras over there would blow you away. Not to mention iPhones or tablets or whatever else. Everybody, unless they're working lugging something on their back has got an instrument in their hand, a device of some kind.
No, smartphone, tablet, a regular digital camera. I mean, they've got something.
So yeah, something with a, I mean, lots of regular cameras, but I mean, the amount of regular phones is huge. But I mean, you can't tell me that only one person would see this. So no, it to me, it's a good piece of work. They put a lot of work into it because using stuff like Lightroom, and there are other programs too. We also don't get paid by Adobe to plug Lightroom because we just don't. But
no, but I can do the anti-Lightroom real quick. The fact is, I myself do most of our video. I do all of our video editing, most of the pictures and stuff like that. Anything that we do, I do. I won't pay the price Adobe asks for their programs, because there's too many programs out there that do just about the exact same thing that are either ridiculously less in cost or, what I prefer, absolutely completely free. So I'm a firm believer in why pay $500 for a program when I can find a clone of that program on the internet for absolutely nothing. And I'm not talking about illegal downloads either. I'm talking about actual companies that put out free versions of software. That's my thing with Adobe. Adobe is way too expensive unless you are a professional, like film editor or something like that. You just don't need that much.
if you're a professional photographer, the workflow is huge. If you shoot a wedding, there's not just you. There's a backup photographer. There's all these photos, some that the bride and groom want copies of, some they don't, but it all goes on a disc. Every photo has to be enhanced, color balanced, make sure it looks right, all that stuff to make, because it's the bride's day and it's got to be done right. So for people that shoot professionally, it makes all kind of sense, because you're not going to get that level, because I've got some of the free programs and you don't get that level of stuff on a free program. So for someone that's doing it for a living, you have to have a good program, and in that context it is. But it's an art form, and it's an art form all by itself.
If you're not a professional, you just don't need that much power.
Yeah, you don't need it. So what's our next video?